Good afternoon. This is Sylvain from InfoFit. Today, let's talk about plateau breaking. What is plateau breaking and how does it feel? It should feel at a place, in a moment in time where in your progression towards your objective, you don't feel or you don't actually experiencing any progression. You feel like you're stuck somewhere. Let me try to kind of explain visually what I mean. If you start, let's say here, this is time. Let's say you start here, you increase and then you plateau. You feel a little bit of improvement, you plateau. Improvement, plateau, improvement, plateau. The finer, of course, you're gonna pay attention to progressive overload, the finer the plateau will be. So then you keep on progressing. If you are not paying attention to the dimensions, as in you stick around too long with the same program, you stick around too long with the same weight, you always do the same sequence, same intensities, then the plateau will tend to stand too longer. Okay? Of course, our mind wants to do this. Your mind wants to go there and get there fast as possible, and then you attain maintenance. Right? Here's maintenance. Of course, maintenance, you're there. So your job is just to keep it there. It feels frustrating when we don't see any changes as we get towards that goal. Okay? That has to do a little bit with training patience, and that's going to be involved. Also, what's expected as far as change is concerned. I also want to say that the closer you will get towards your objective, your optimum potential, the harder it's going to be to see some changes. You're going to have to find joy or success in the small little differences, because from cutting some time on your cardio, if you're running a race, finishing that much closer will take a lot more work to achieve that. To increase if you're already there at your strength and you're bench pressing 400 pounds, well, to get to 405 is going to take a lot of work because you're already there at your full potential. Cool? Let's look also, well, that's one of the characteristics you need to consider, the consideration as far as what should expect. That's called diminishing return, the training principle. As you get closer to where you want to be, you'll see that it requires a lot more work to see some small changes. The rate of change is another thing that you should pay attention to. What is expected and what's reasonable. What is recommended for a permanent change. I will often recommend to when you start to changing things, make one change at a time, record your change, and observe the effect and record the effects. So then you know that this type of change creates this type of results. This way, it's not too many changes at the same time and you don't know what works, you don't know what doesn't work. Okay? Two places where plateau breaking seems to be very frustrating is in, of course, the most popular ones. Weight loss or fat loss. I'm going to say fat loss because weight loss, I don't think nobody wants to lose weight. But the fat, percentage body fat loss, and also lean mass gains. Lean mass gain either is going to be hypertrophy, meaning that we're increasing the sarcoplasma, or I want to say lean mass gain as in myofibril hypertrophy, as in you're getting stronger. In both cases, there's some definite expectations here. All right, so let's deal with the fat loss. When it comes to fat loss, I want to say that I want to state right away that it's very complex. There's so many factors influencing your rate at which you're going to lose, and also how much you can get out of each levels, right? The expected rate of change that is recommended with all the things that I read in the past, typically we should target something like 0.5 pounds per week at an optimum, or 1% per month. percentage body fat loss. All right, so that's as maximum as they approximate that 1 or 2 pounds a week is something that can be achieved, but is it really going to help short term, long term? I think that it's better if you're more reasonable on the change. Everybody is going to adapt nicely, and then you don't have the backlash of going too fast into the changes. That when it comes to fat loss, you got to look at, or lean mass, in both cases, you got to look at the energy balance. In the fat loss, you got to be in a negative energy balance. In other words, let me explain it another way. Energy in is going to be less than energy out. Okay, so what you put in, you need to have the right amount, the one that's going to sustain, give you the ability to repair, to grow, and to perform, right? You need to sustain life while you're losing. But it's focusing certainly on the out. The way we gauge the energy in, typically we take the BMR, and we multiply that, the basal metabolic rate, by the way, and we multiply that by the activity factor of the day. And that will give you the activity factor, and then that'll give you the daily intake target, right? And then from there you derive what you should eat. So let's say the activity factor on the days you're off, 1.3. On the days you train, light training, 1.5. On the days you train really hard, 1.7. That will give you a gradual amount, 3 different ways, 3 different target of calorie intake that you should focus on for the day. Okay? That's about this. I rarely suggest that we take away from what you eat. Typically, we tend to eat less of this, and it is the choice of what we eat that's critical. I suggest that we stick to what we should. Of course, if you tend to eat way too much, then of course we need to go back to where it's reasonable or where it's recommended, and the BMR will dictate that. But I certainly suggest that we fuel the body with what it needs. Where we can really play with is the changes on the energy out. Okay, so our focus is going to be to first create a situation where we have a protection mechanism, and that will be in the RMR, resting metabolism, and that boosting that up require us to increase your lean mass. So the best protection against gain and losing fat and keeping it off will be to increase your lean mass. Okay? Then, of course, you look at the workout. The workouts will become more and more intense, so your calorie expenditure will go higher and higher during each of the workout. But I always say that when it comes to managing your calorie expenditure, don't focus on how much you burn during the workout, but outside the workout. Meaning what? You create such a situation where you increase your lean mass, so you increase your muscle mass. That will increase your resting metabolism. We do spend 23 hours of our day out of the gym, not the opposite, the other way around. The workout is what it is. So you're going to work out based on your fitness level, and it's going to give you 300, 500, 600 calories during the session. Now, as you go more intense, you can count on creating deficits. Those deficits are called the afterburn or epoch. But let's call it afterburn for today. Meaning what? Meaning that you keep on burning calories after you work out because you generated deficit. You created a chaos during your workout, and your body will try to go back to where it was before you started the workout. All these changes back to where it was require energy. So that's added calories you burn after your workout. That's outside the session, right? Also, your daily activities. This is probably where you can have the most impact. Little changes as you can do, that's going to make a big difference overall. Like parking the car further away from your work, taking the stairs from 1 week is all the way up, and then you take the elevator on the way down, or the opposite. and then you add another dimension, as in you go up and down the stairs instead of taking the elevator altogether. But make one change at a time. Too many changes you won't last, right? So baby steps and also small changes, but note them so then you know what you've done that makes such a difference. Of course, there's a third dimension to this. A fourth dimension to this is the thermogenetic effect of eating food, the energy you burn by eating food. All right, digesting the food. So if you focus on those things and pay attention to your calorie expenditure, the amount of afterburn you can create from a progressively more aggressive training, your small daily activities, you should be able to see a constant fat loss based on the fact that you're always increasing your calorie expenditure progressively, but also above and beyond what you're doing. All right, that's that. Let's talk about the lean mass gains. A lot of people are frustrated because they don't see the results. It has often to do with, I want to say, two dimensions. I want to say your program design, your periodization of training, and your rest. Okay, let's add a fourth dimension. I want to say biological demand. What your body demand as far as fuel is concerned. Okay, so program design. You have to be using a program that is well-rounded, that is always using varying the intensity, the frequency, the order in which you use each of them. You tackle some of the muscles, and also I want to say pay attention to your time under tension and controlling the eccentric on the way down and pushing the concentric in the right way. As you get more and more complex exercise in your program, you will develop more of a breakdown of the cell, the macro tears, and that's what you need to focus on. Creating a catabolic state. Always stay in the muscle repair. So you create enough damage to the muscle so it needs to repair and grow all the time. That can be achieved by varying some of the points that I've talked about. Periodizing your training is very important. You're going to spend some time in endurance, but then soon enough you're going to tackle the hypertrophy training and respect the fit principle for that. You're going to tackle the strength, and then you're going to go back to endurance. You're going to play like that throughout the year so that you constantly, it's like a wave. It's called the seasons of training, I say. And that will get you to your goals faster, safer, and without boredom. Rest is very important. That's the anabolic state. I want to say that you should pay attention to how many days you are off. So let's say you have 4 days on and 3 days off. If you want to make it more intense, never cut off one of the days off. Leave them there. But during the week, make those more intense. That's important. The body needs the time to repair and grow so you can perform better. Biological demand, you need to make sure that your protein intake and your carb intake is met. So based on your activity level, your intake that you calculated based on your resting metabolism, ensure that you have your right total calories, but also that you meet your protein and your carbs, because you need protein to repair and you need carbs to perform. Because when you push weight, don't forget, it is carbs you're using. All right? Wow, there's a lot of information really quickly. I want to say, look at the details of your program. Look at what you're doing. Make one change at a time. If you noticed, I suggested that you pay attention to the effects, note them, and then look at the big picture. What am I not doing here? Seek help of a personal trainer that can give you an objective view, and happy training.